Guys, I absolutely love it when people who say that they fighting for voting rights. I love it when they get exposed by the very same party that they accuse of being racist towards black voters, and they say all this stuff, all this is evidence, all this is evidence, like that whole Arizona that went on. The freaking Democrat Party tried to claim that uh the freaking Republican Party was trying to stop the black vote and all that stuff, but when it actually came down to evidence of how this actually affected the black vote, they brought forth no evidence whatsoever. They literally spent all this taxpayer money to say that the Republican Party was being racist towards black people, but when they own witnesses came in and said, these new votes don't hurt me whatsoever, even though Arizona has a very small population for black people, they get massive egg on their face, which is one of the reasons why I want to show y'all that there's a video from Twitter about how one of the Texas Democrats basically coming forth saying, we gonna stop we gonna Greg Abbott because he's racist, and then when what's her name, Mace, I forgot his name, Nancy Mace, I think it is. Yeah, when Nancy Mace comes in and confronts her about it, she literally has no evidence whatsoever about how any of this is actually racist. So let me go ahead and show y'all this video real quick.
My understanding is elected in 1972 in Texas. Is that correct?
It is correct.
Right, and I applaud you for making history, I imagine, in Texas, and being a strong voice for black men and black women. Coming from South Carolina, we've got voter ID, and I'm assuming Texas is the same way. Do y'all need IDs to buy alcohol when you're purchasing at the store?
Yes, if to be sure that you are capable of doing that.
Right. Do you need an ID in Texas to buy cigarettes?
You can't buy them unless you're at least 21.
But do you have to show an ID to buy cigarettes?
You have to show an ID.
Do you need an ID when you're getting a job and trying to get on payroll in Texas?
Yes.
Do you need an ID to go to the pharmacy and get a prescription in Texas?
It depends on this prescription.
But do you need an ID for some prescriptions
Yes,
in Texas?
Yes.
Do you need an ID to get Social Security services in Texas?
You do.
Do you need an ID to rent an apartment in Texas?
Yes.
Do you need an ID if you're going to buy a house and finance it via a mortgage in Texas?
Yes.
Do you need an ID in Texas if you're going to board an aircraft and fly commercial?
Yes.
Did you fly commercial or fly a private jet on the way to DC?
A chartered plane.
Do you have to show an ID when you fly in a private jet?
Yes.
I wouldn't know. I've never flown on one. So, did you need an ID to get in the building here today?
Yes.
Do you need an ID in Texas to open a bank account?
Yes.
To cash your check if you're working. Do you know, Representative Thompson, what percentage of blacks in Texas, black and brown African Americans, are registered to vote?
Oh, a huge percentage.
70%. Do you
Yes.
know what percentage of African Americans, black and brown Texans, have voted on average or in the last election?
About 64%.
Correct. Do you know how many whites are registered to vote in Texas?
Far more than African Americans.
72%. You have 70%.
Okay, let me go ahead and rewind that back just in case y'all ain't hear it the first time.
Did you need an ID to get in the building here today?
Yes.
Do you need an ID in Texas to open a bank account?
Yes.
To cash your check if you're working. Do you know, Representative Thompson, what percentage of blacks in Texas, black and brown African Americans, are registered to vote?
Oh, a huge percentage.
70%. Do you know what percentage of African Americans, black and brown Texans, have voted on average or in the last election?
About 64%.
Correct. Do you know how many whites are registered to vote in Texas?
Far more than African Americans.
72%.
Let me go. let me go ahead. Just go ahead and tell y'all what she said one more time in case y'all can clarify. In Texas, there are 70% of black people in Texas that are legally required to vote. They have the proper IDs to vote. The average percentage for white voters is 72%. That's only 2% right there. But only 64% of black people voted in Texas last election, which means it's not that it's not that they was being blocked up by some racist legislation. It's just the fact that they didn't want to vote this year or last year. But the Democrats kept on want to pushing that black people are disproportionately, targeted by Republicans because because the Republican Party is full of white nationalists and white supremacists and white racists who don't want to see black people vote. So, again, where's the racist racist bill that Joe Biden said? Where's Jim Crow 2.0 on steroids? Where's that at? Let's go ahead and go back into it.
You have 70% of blacks in Texas who are registered to vote. You have 72% of whites in Texas who are registered to vote. Do you know the percentage of whites who turned out to vote in recent elections?
I want to say over 50-some percent.
65%. Do you know what?
So again, she is bringing forth all this accusations for the Texas governor Greg Abbott being racist, but she does not know any of the percentages of the people who actually voted, from white, black, Hispanic, Asian. She has no percentages of that for real. She just gave out some random number as y'all seen there. She didn't even know the amount of black people who had voter IDs in Texas. She didn't even know. She just gave some number. This is embarrassing, people. It really is. This is embarrassing.
What percentage of Hispanics are registered to vote in Texas?
No, I do not.
63%. Do you know what percentage of Hispanics voted in the last election?
I think it was over 40%.
53%.
Again, she doesn't know. She's just throwing out numbers.
Hispanics are not voting in as high numbers as blacks and whites in Texas. Do you know the percentage of Democrats who support voter ID?
Would you repeat your question?
Do you know the number or percentage of Democrats who support voter ID in this country?
I do not, but I don't think it's a whole lot.
72%.
That sounds like a lot to me. So even they own narrative is being pushed back in their faces when the majority of Democrats want voter IDs to vote. Come on.
Do you know the number of black and brown and African Americans in this country who support voter ID?
No.
75%.
Okay, so again, if 75% of us want ID, who the hell are these who the hell are these crony ass politicians saying we don't want IDs to vote? See, the black people black people themselves are saying, we want IDs to vote. We want secure elections. Who in the hell is telling people that black people don't have IDs to vote? Oh, that's right. It's the liberal media. These I want to say these racist liberals that say black people are not smart enough to know how to get friggin' IDs. It's them. It's not black. It's some black people saying some of that stupid ass shit as well. But when it comes to people in politics, it's mainly the racist liberals. that say black people do not have the capability, or they don't have the, you know, the brain to know how to get a freaking ID. Racist people, racist.
Do you know the number of Hispanics that support voter ID in this country?
No.
81%.
Again, these Democrats don't want any IDs for illegal immigrants.
Do you know where the state of Texas is ranked with black voter turnout in this country?
With black voters turn out?
Do you know where Texas is ranked?
Oh, 44%.
The latest numbers that I read this morning was that Texas is ranked 10th.
Again, but they're gonna keep on pushing this whole racist narrative that black people do not have IDs to vote because we're too incompetent or we're too stupid to know how to get them. People, this is why a lot of us say do not just blindly vote. You have to actually know who you're voting for.
Do you know where Texas is ranked? So then top 10 in the country. Do you know where Texas is ranked with women voters?
Oh, way up in the 50s.
In the bottom third of this country. So I would
Bruh. Dog, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing, people. This is embarrassing. You literally have the balls to say that these new voting rights that Greg Abbott Greg Abbott and Governor Kemp pushed, they are racist. But when it comes out that it's not, and you guys don't even know the statistics about these voting rights, voting demographics. And you guys just sprout out some BS numbers, completely undermining a lot of voters, mainly black voters, who got y'all in office in the first place. You guys have the nerve to literally bring us down. Again. I would say this again and again and again. We don't realize, or some of us do realize, we just don't vote for another party because, you know, it's either vote Democrat or you're a sellout. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and finish these last 8 seconds.
Argue that Texas has a more difficult problem with getting women out to vote than black and brown and African Americans. Thank you, and I yield back.
Again, embarrassing, people. This is embarrassing. How could this lady? I don't know what her name is. How could she say that black people don't have the proper IDs to vote when 70% of black people in Texas have the rights to vote? That's a big portion, people. That's a big portion, not a small portion. Like, you know, some of these crony racist Democrats be saying about black people, saying, you know, we're too incompetent or too stupid to get IDs. We're too incompetent. We don't have the money. We don't have the resources. We don't have the common sense to know how to get an ID. But these freaking Democrats will keep on pushing this racist narrative of black people, saying we aren't too incompetent, we're too stupid to know how to get a freaking ID. This is funny. You need an ID to work. You need an ID to buy cigarettes. You need an ID to buy alcohol. You need an ID to drive a car. You need an ID to rent an apartment, own a house. But apparently for voting, yeah, this is black people have IDs for this everywhere. But apparently for voting, it's different. You telling me we're too incompetent to know how to get an ID for that? Your driver's license is your voting ID. In case some of these dumbasses don't realize. But guys, this is embarrassing. This is freaking embarrassing. How could you really say that these laws are racist, but you don't have the evidence to back it up? I just find this freaking hilarious, people. But you guys let me know what y'all think about this in the comments below. If you guys like what I'm saying, like and subscribe, share the video. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.